Hello, Kentucky. Matt Tackett welcoming you to this edition of the KAED Netcast. Now, every episode we have a special guest, and we certainly do today as we welcome Miss Jodi Ashby, the Executive Director of the Ohio County Economic Development Alliance, to the Netcast. Now, Jodi has only been in her position for a short amount of time, but has made a very big impact, and we'll talk through that. Jodi's been aggressive on the business development and the marketing side of economic development. We'll talk about that. We've traveled all across North America together. She's been an incredible advocate for this Commonwealth. And Jodi has also been a staunch advocate for product development, in particular the Kentucky Product Development Initiative. We'll talk through that and much more on this episode of the KAED Netcast, where we're happy to welcome Miss Jodi Ashby, Executive Director of the Ohio County Economic Development Alliance. Thank you, Jodi. So welcome back to this episode of the KAED Netcast. As always, we have a special guest, and as I've told you, we have Miss Jodi Ashby, the Executive Director of the Ohio County Economic Development Alliance, who's a friend of mine and who is a friend of this Commonwealth, and we're just really excited for a great conversation today. So why don't we just, Jodi, if you're okay, why don't we just dive right in and give you a chance to say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into economic development.
Sure. Good morning. Well, I got into economic development because I have a passion for my community and for growth and workforce development and all the things that kind of encompass economic development. So it's just a natural fit. I grew up in Western Kentucky, but I've lived a little bit of everywhere, including Germany for several years and Washington, D.C., some other places. So there's no place like home. And economic development helps me to better home, so that's why.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this a little bit. So you've only been at your organization for a short amount of time, and same with me. I've been here since late 2017, but so we've kind of got to know each other and watch each other as we take on different roles in similar organizations. But I'm curious, you've had a short amount of time, but a big amount of impact. So can you talk a little bit about your organization and what you've been up to and why you and the community are successful?
Well, I think our greatest success in Ohio County and for OCEDA has been changing the narrative. Whenever people talk about Ohio County or talk about rural communities in Kentucky, we have purposefully switched gears to where you hear more people talking about the unique features that we have rather than what is lacking, because people get the wrong idea whenever they're talking about rural communities that it's somehow lacking the infrastructure, for lack of a better word, for business growth, for lots of different types of growth, tourism, for that sort of thing, and it's just inaccurate. And so we've changed that narrative, and I'm proud to be a part of that, and proud to say that that's been a huge initiative of mine. So
yeah, and we'll talk about this again in a couple questions, but there's a lot of advantages and there's a lot of assets in Ohio County, and I know you do such a good job of carrying the messaging on behalf of your community and on behalf of the whole Commonwealth. And I'll ask you a question about that here in a minute, but on more of just kind of a simple intrinsic way, Ohio County is such a cool place in Kentucky. It's a beautiful place. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of talent, and a lot of just the best of Kentucky has emerged from Ohio County in a lot of ways. So can you talk about what a special place that it is just to live and to be, and let's encourage people, look, if you're looking for something to do tomorrow or this weekend, why don't you check out Ohio County?
Well, it's really interesting. Every time I give someone a tour of Ohio County, even if they're from Ohio County, oftentimes it's just eye-opening for them because we have so many unique things that rural communities, in other places just maybe don't have those advantages, such as a vibrant music scene. We are the home of Bluegrass. The father of Bluegrass music was born here, raised here. So we have an annual Bluegrass festival, and for a lot of people, they don't realize how popular Bluegrass is around the world, but it's a huge draw for tourism, and it's even a huge draw for millennials and the younger generations. But but that sparks other music scenes in Ohio County as well. We have an amphitheater, we have live bands at our restaurants, and that's a big topic for site selectors and for businesses looking to expand in locations. What is our workforce going to do? Why would they want to live there? And so we have the music scene, we have the food scene, lots of mom and pop places like Capers in Hartford, or Slickback at the store in Rosine, or Fordsville Diner, lots of mom and pop restaurants and things like that. But then we have third spaces like the Hub, where we do remote work training for employees to be able to work for companies all over the world. And those are unique things for a rural community to have. You just don't get all of that in one place together and not have to deal with the overpopulation that you would see in larger cities. So
yeah, I think you've had, and we'll talk about our marketing, but you've had a lot of influence on me, and we've traveled around and we've spoke to consultants or CEOs, and we're doing business development, and they always tell us, look, tell us what's special, tell us what's different, or tell us what's neat about Kentucky. And a lot of our messaging has been, look, Kentucky's an iconic state. We've got the best president, Abraham Lincoln. We've got the best athlete. Have you heard of Muhammad Ali? We've got the best and original celebrity chef, Colonel Sanders. And, oh, by the way, and you always tell us this, we're the home of bluegrass music. So how important is that, and how do you incorporate that into your messaging?
Well, I think, it is our brand. That is the brand of Ohio County. We are the home of bluegrass music. And it is such a unique genre of music that has so much influence over so many other music genres and so many people, and it connects so many different people. I brought my students, whenever I worked for Job Corps, over to volunteer at our Bluegrass Festival. And those students, inner city kids, 18 to 24 years old, could not get enough of the bluegrass music. And it was the first time that they had ever heard it. But then we have bands from Korea, we have bands from Japan that come and play bluegrass music at our Bluegrass Festival. So Australia, it's a hit in Australia. So music is a thing that pulls people together anyway, but bluegrass music definitely is unique.
Yeah, and I know you do a good job leveraging that and carrying the messaging, and I think Kentucky does as a whole too. And you'll probably remember this. I think we were in Dallas together, and we were just delivering our Kentucky message to consultants. And one of our consultant friends came up to me and said, Matt, pretty good job on your presentation. Why didn't you mention bluegrass music in Kentucky?
Yeah.
and it's in my talking points, but for whatever reason, I missed it that day. But I haven't missed it since. So he and you never let me forget it. So what a good blessing that we have in Kentucky. And I think about leveraging kind of our intrinsic is so important, and you do a great job of that. But there's other opportunities and advantages in Ohio County that people would just love to have that you have. So I'm curious, with all of the blessings and all the good work that you've done, what does your kind of marketing pitch and your conversations look like to consultants or to any CEO you might be speaking to?
Well, it would include all of those things that we just talked about, those unique features, plus, our strategic advantage is our location. We're located directly between the third and fourth largest cities in Kentucky. We now have 2 interstate highways that intersect directly at our 1,300-acre industrial park that has a build-ready pad there with all of the utilities available. And our workforce, our labor market area is shared with both of those cities. We do have a workforce story to tell if it's, I won't say pitched the right way, but if it's communicated correctly, because a lot of people assume that if you're in a rural area that your population being small means that you have a small workforce to offer. That's just not the case. We have a unique workforce, I would say, because many of our working class people grew up on farms, working in coal mines, or working on cars, those sorts of things. All of the things that advanced manufacturing desires was already ingrained in them from from the time they were kids, and then we have the workforce development programs to back that up. And so I think that any company who is looking for labor-oriented workforce would do well here, as long as they understand that you have to attract your talent. So that's the story we want to tell and we want to communicate. Yes, it's it's a low cost of living here because it is a rural community, but also you have to understand the difference between low cost of living and low cost of labor. It is a lower cost to do business here, but you want to attract that talent. The talent is here to attract.
Yeah, no doubt. Just a ton of opportunity, a ton of advantage all across this Commonwealth, and certainly in Ohio County too. And I love having the opportunity to be in the room with you in some of these meetings to talk about Kentucky and to listen to how your approach of economic development and messaging and all that you do. So it's been great to watch you. But we've talked about these marketing trips that you and I have been on, and we've been all across North America together. And you've been obviously a great advocate for your community, but you've also been a really strong advocate for this entire Commonwealth through our KAED marketing program, Kentucky United. So can you talk a little bit about why you participate maybe in Kentucky United and why that's an important part of what you do at OCEDA?
Kentucky United for me is the glue that holds us all together. I think if not for Kentucky United, I wouldn't have the advantages in economic development that I do. And I say I as in OCEDA and Ohio County, because we have the reach of the great minds in economic development like Chuck Sexton and One East Kentucky, and my economic development idol Kim Houston in Bardstown, Nelson County. People who have done this for years and have that experience, but also have the will to assist. Jodi with a Y, my buddy Jodi with a Y, developed Danville. At any given time, if I want to reach out to another economic developer, and if Ohio County needs something that it doesn't already have, some kind of information or experience that it doesn't already have, any of those folks are there and willing to help and share information at any given time, and that's because of Kentucky United. Jason Landley at Bowling Green, I reach out to him, for all kinds of different things, and they're all just a phone call away. And same for me with them, and I wouldn't know what site selectors are looking for had it not been for our Kentucky United trips. Being able to sit in front of those site selectors all over the United States, Canada, everywhere we've been, and then with Select USA, from all over the world, and understand what it is they're looking for currently, so that Ohio County can be at the forefront of whatever that is at the time.
Yeah, it's really an impressive thing to see. All of us, we're coming from different parts of the Commonwealth, but we're all coming together and working on, this is the Kentucky message, and this is why you need to be in Kentucky and do business. So there's so many, and you named a bunch, and a lot of those people I call more than they want me to, and lean on them more than they want me to. But yeah. We're all kind of an interconnected, collaborative association and network. So that's kind of the beauty and the value of being part of KAED. Is that we're all here together and we're all working on one common cause. And that's what's been challenging through COVID, that a lot of the power is the convergence and the intellectual capital, and how are we supposed to network when we're all supposed to stay home or work kind of healthy at work in a new way. So that was one of the reasons that we launched these netcasts. But I really thank you for mentioning some of that group. I've talked to pretty much everybody, I think, already this week. So I appreciate it.
Well, and you too, Matt. I bet I've reached out to you probably 10 times since COVID-19 started for different things, and asking questions and for assistance on different things. So that, to me, that's what Kentucky United is about, and it's a vital part of economic development, especially for rural Kentucky. We need that, and it's a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. So I appreciate that. I think we've all came together and responded as well as we could have, and during times that none of us have ever been through before. So I know I always talk about BR&E, but I know our communities are doing such a good job kind of mitigating and assisting with the emergence. And I know we've all kind of collectively done a good job of making sure we can curate the information, especially different funding opportunities and different information, understanding what these funding opportunities are. So I think we've responded strongly about as well as we can because we've all done this together as a KAED. So just really proud of that, and we're not done. You know, we'll keep rolling.
Right.
As we kind of emerge post-COVID. But we talked a lot about marketing, and you've obviously put a big emphasis on that, but you've also put a big emphasis on product development. So for those that are outside of our ED world who may not know what product development means in this economic development space, can you talk a little bit about that, why it's important to you, and some of the successes that you've had in that really important piece of what we do?
Sure. I mean, product development typically for economic developers, you know, whenever we talk about product development, we're normally talking about land, infrastructure, utility, that sort of thing, buildings, you know, that's the products that we have. But to expand on that a little bit further, I mean, you know, product development really for us means a whole lot more. It means workforce development. It means marketing materials. It means strategies. It means so much. But, you know, our product is our community. And so when we focus on development, we're often talking about the smaller pieces of the pie. But my successes in product development for Ohio County have definitely been marketing at, you know, as of right now. I've been in this position for less than a year. And so now we have, you know, we're launching a new website. It's already launched actually, but you just can't find it yet. But soon, within the next few days, you will be able to. And that will be ohiocountyky.com. That is going to be a big stepping stone for us because it means we'll be visible around the world. And I'm excited about that we can get this information and this message out to anyone and everyone who could possibly bring business to Ohio County. But developing this message altogether, the branding of Ohio County as the home of Bluegrass and the birthplace of Bluegrass. And then of course our land development. I mean, having a 1,300 acre industrial park at the intersection of two interstate highways in the central United States really is a serious advantage that we have, and we need to market that. So, you know, we could do some other product development and will along the way. I mean, with grants like with TVA and the Product Development Initiative, Invest Prep, those sorts of things to expand utilities, to help with other infrastructure and that sort of thing. But we have a great product already in Ohio County. And so selling it is what I want to do. I want to sell the product we already have.
Yeah, I appreciate your kind of holistic approach to that answer. And then also appreciate your specific attention to the site or building readiness aspect of that question too, because as we're leveraging all of the intrinsic and manufactured advantages that a Kentucky has, like our location or our ability to put product anywhere in the world in 12 hours, you know, we've got to have sites and buildings that are ready to go, that will enable quick, risk-free decisions. A week ago, you know, the time just accelerated in ways, in just incredibly rapid ways. So we know how critical that is, and we know the very specific emphasis that you've put on product development. And these aren't talking points. You've done it in your community, and you've also been a big piece of the Kentucky Product Development Initiative, which is a program that we've designed that's specifically to enhance the quality and quantity of Kentucky's side so that we can accelerate economic development. Last year, we granted out $2.9 million, and there was a matching component of that. So by the time it's matched, it's over $6 million designed specifically for site and building physical asset upgrades. So I just want to thank you for what you do in your community, and also being an investor and a partner in that product development initiative. So I really thank you for that. And you don't know this is coming, but we have an
Ah,
here for you
that's awesome.
yeah, to recognize you and OCEDA as an investor of PDI. So we can't move.
Thank you so much.
I'll put this in the mail to you.
Okay.
So thank you for that. And
I should have worn my Kentucky United shirt. I didn't think about it. I never have taken the picture you asked for.
that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. So we have Team Kentucky T-shirts in here, and I've been mailing them out to people and just say, hey, if you send me a picture, we'll post it. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you haven't held me accountable.
I'll put another email for you with your flag. But thanks for what you do on PDI. And aside from the marketing and the PDI, you've been a major part of what we do here with our new education program with KAED, and then specifically through a lot of the BR&E programming that we've put out. We've done I think we've done at least 5 hours worth of virtual content already on BR&E. We have another one today scheduled in a couple hours after we hang up. But can you talk about why that's important, specifically BR&E? Talk about maybe what you picked up from that, what you've done in your community, and maybe tell other communities what they need to be thinking of, especially on that really important component.
Well, I think, the conversation gets really strange whenever you start talking about BR&E programs, because for me, the BR&E program is just whatever the company needs for assistance with, whether it's calling and helping to secure raw materials, or helping to find buyers for their products, or to secure machine. I mean, just whatever they need is what you do as an economic developer. But it's important because that's where most net job creation happens, is with business retention and expansion, not necessarily attracting new business. Well, we want to attract new business because obviously coal mines are phasing out, and that's been a large part of Kentucky as a whole, and Western Kentucky in the most recent years has taken a real hit with the coals and coal mine production, and that's been high paying jobs that were abundant and available for families to really make a living on, not just make a life with, I guess, but not just a living. So we want to attract new business, but business retention and expansion is really our bread and butter. And most recently, as soon as COVID-19, the issues with the medical masks became apparent, we knew we had a non-woven plant here, and they work very closely with me on many things, and so I called them up and started discussing it with them, and they had already thought about expanding their product into doing some PPE type things. And I mean, you're talking about within 48 hours, they had ordered the machinery, and now they're starting production on surgical masks and the N95 respirator masks. And we've had several companies that have expanded within the last year. But even still with COVID-19, we've had a lot of hiring. Dunaway Timber in Fordsville, which is the largest timber producer in Kentucky. They've been hiring. So, that's where the bread and butter is for your locals. So it's important to focus on those things.
Yeah, you talked about the manufacturer that's assisting with the PP&E supplying process that we're working through, and I appreciate what they have done, and then appreciate you too. You sent us that contact here at KAED as we were scouring the state for initially suppliers that could assist with that need for frontline first responders, and then we shifted to let's figure out who has PPE in any sort of way all across Kentucky as we're entering into the phased reopening. So I know that company that you mentioned is in the directory that we released a couple of weeks ago. So if you're looking for information on them, we've shot out that directory. The Cabinet for Economic Development has.
Yeah, that's WPT, Nonwoven, and Beaver Dam, and they've been an amazing partner in economic development for Ohio County. So thankful for them.
Yeah, and then there are several others too that have shifted their operation to assist with the mitigation and emergence for this, and it just shows us what a connected, collaborative, and powerful Kentucky that we can be when we all come together. And you mentioned the workforce and some former industries too, and the passion that there is for work and the skills that are associated with coal or with any other kind of historic or intrinsic important industry in Kentucky really speaks to the quality of workforce that we have here, and we talk about that all the time. There's a skilled and available workforce here in Kentucky, and we love to tell that story, and there are some all across the state that do that every day. And you mentioned COVID, and we've all been just dealing with this as best as we can, and I know that you've done a really good job in your community. I know you have a resource and so much communication, and your community's responded really well. So can you talk about how the communities came together and maybe what you've done specifically to best position your economy as we kind of continue forward?
Well, whenever it first became apparent that there were going to be some businesses that were going to have to shut down during COVID-19, or at least alter their business practices significantly, I just reached out to the businesses that I knew and tried to collaborate with them and partner with them on creating strategies to adjust to whatever the situation was. With some of the restaurants, first things first, we need to figure out how to get into delivering food, because that's going to be what, just looking at what happened in China, I assumed at that point that would be the way forward. And so just getting those discussions with them and trying to be a partner in whatever it was they wanted to do with their strategy. And then if they needed to shut down, helping them know and understand what the processes were for their employees, for unemployment and that sort of thing, helping the employees themselves get unemployment and get through the red tape that existed there, and all of the issues. Thank God for Matt Bartlett at ResCare. He's the president of ResCare, but they are the contractor for the Kentucky Career Centers for the grad region, and he's been phenomenal in helping people all over the grad area and outside of the grad area to make sure that their unemployment is taken care of. Same with Josh Benton. I've reached out to him several times, and he was more than willing to get his hands down in the dirt, so to speak, and help people himself. And then the stimulus check issues, and Corey Elder with Congressman Comer's office, and it's just people willing to help people really is what it boils down to. And thank God we have that network and so many people who are willing to do the work. Yeah,
I know with us, we've put out about 40 COVID specific articles.
Yeah.
On various issues. And what I've noticed from you on your social media is that from what I'm putting out, and whether you get it from me or another resource or you're sourcing on your own, I notice how deep into the weeds of these sometimes kind of complicated issues that you're diving and explaining this in just a really understandable, great way for your community. So I think you should be commended for that. I know you're always
Thank you.
Media, but you've done a really good job making even complex legislative language, which is hard to read sometimes, in a readable way, so that your community knows, hey, this opportunity exists, and here's what I need to do to kind of take advantage of that. So I just want to thank you for that. You've done a really good job. So you got to follow Jodi and everything, all your different social media outlets to learn more about how you do it. So enough of these softball questions. Are you ready to go on the hot seat?
I'm ready for the hot seat. Let's do it.
Okay. So here's an interesting one. What is your definition of economic development?
Strategic growth. That's all I've got.
That's fine. That's the most concise one we've had so far. So, okay.
Okay.
What is your favorite bourbon?
Duke, produced by Ozzie Tyler, of course.
Okay. Yeah, in your neck of the woods, we know them. What is your favorite TV show?
Turn on Netflix. It's actually a Netflix series, but it's good enough.
Okay, I don't know that one. We'll check it out.
Oh, you need to watch it, Matt. It's good. It's addictive.
Okay. So is Ohio County the birthplace of bluegrass music? We know that. So instead, it doesn't have to be bluegrass. Who is your favorite band or musician?
Oh, wow. I have so many. I love Little Big Town. And Jody with the Y and his karaoke, you just can't beat it.
Yeah, we've got a lot of.
And my good friend Andy Brasher has been I've been a lifelong fan since before anyone knew who he was, and you probably don't know who that is, but you should look him up.
Andy Brasher. Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
I like the locals, you know.
I should know that. I'm pretty good on the local talent. I'll Google that. I bet I know.
Well, whenever I host an economic developers forum here in Ohio County for after COVID-19, and I invite you, then we will have Andy Brasher come and play, and you'll know who he is.
That would be good, especially as we've had to postpone our large major spring gathering right down the road. And we were planning earlier on this year before we kind of got derailed a bit, but we were looking for what local bands to kind of source out and to bring in to showcase. So
you need to ask me.
Whenever we come back, we'll get him. So, and oh gosh, you're right about the karaoke talent that exists in this organization. There's
people don't realize how karaoke and economic development seem to be tied. I mean, it's like peas and carrots, really. We don't go anywhere where we don't do karaoke.
We do 2 major conferences a year in normal times, one in the spring, one in the fall, and on at both events, one night, and sometimes 2, we do a karaoke kind of party for our thing. So, and then too, and at Select USA especially, seems like this is an event we go to in Washington D.C. to where we speak to international businesses that have demonstrated that they want to be in the United States at some point. So we go there and do a good job, but we usually find our way to a karaoke place.
Well, you remember what happened to me at the last Select USA in karaoke. I couldn't do karaoke because I lost my voice totally.
That's right. But there is honestly, we've got some good voices in this group. So, okay, this will get you in trouble. Where's your favorite place to eat in Ohio County?
Oh, can I say all of them? Cafe at the Dam, Beef O'Brady's, of course, Capers in Hartford, Soreheads Gifts and Sundries, Fordsville Cafe, everywhere, okay. All of them.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of good food there. Okay, and finally, when you're not doing economic development or watching Turn on Netflix.
I forgot Flickback. Flickback's important. I can't skip that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So, what's your favorite hobby?
I have lots of them, but traveling, watching you guys sing karaoke, especially when it's bad, skiing, fishing. Fishing is a big one. You know, I'm a bow fisher.
Okay. Yeah. That's a cool thing. A lot of that in Western Kentucky too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're off the hot seat. We survived together here.
We survived. We did it.
Well, this has been fun. I've got a package coming in the mail for you, and do you have any parting words before we break?
No, I don't guess so, because we covered it all. So that's what we do.
Yeah, Jodi Ashby, Executive Director, Ohio County Economic Development Alliance. What's your to be watching for your new website? What's the address again?
It's going to be ohiocountyky.com.
ohiocountyky.com. All right.
High five. See you later. Bye.